Bradley. The film looks very interesting. It reminds me. The trailer reminded me of 13 Ghosts and Hostel combined. It has that feel. So my question is regarding because I've read some reviews of the film, and most of them they actually mention specifically that somehow it seems like an ode to the immigrant situation in the U.S. And you, as someone, of course, who's Asian, and what's your experience in the U.S.?
The film doesn't really say it's in the US. The reason why we have these questions because we wrote the film very specifically in mind with Southeast Asian immigrants in a cold Western country. And the idea behind this Western country would be the ex-colonizers of us. So our countries, Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia, we all almost share the same kind of colonizers. And so the idea is that in today's society, we are in a society that wants to leave the country. We want to get out of Southeast Asia. We want to go to this greener pastures, this beautiful Western place. But when we get there, what happens? We're second-class citizens, and with today's increasingly crazy political situations in the West, we have crazy dictators, people who feel like immigration it's kind of a cancer, right? We just need to delete it. We need to nuke it or something. So, it's kind of reflective on today's society about immigration and how we think that is the best place to go. But when you get there, there are a lot of realities behind it as well.
As a follow up to that question, because of course I know you're in a way familiar with the Filipino culture because your wife is a Filipino. Why do you think Filipinos can't get out of their colonial mentality?
I don't think just Filipinos. In Malaysia right now, we're going through a huge political crisis as well. That's the same with even Thailand, who's actually never been actually properly colonized. Indonesia, of course, horrible situations. I think when the colonizers came, all those 100 years ago, they had a tactic, and the tactic came from the Portuguese, and it was to divide and conquer. You divide the people, set them against each other, and then you conquer them. And that process has been very prevalent in how the exchanges happened, Portuguese to the Dutch, to the English, to the Americans. And even now, when all these colonizers go home and supposedly give us our independence, our politicians use the same methods against us. So people are still blinded by the fact they think that they're free, but we are still bounded with these scars of colonization. And until people acknowledge that politicians and people in power are using these things against us, and it's very hard to step back and realize as well, because we are a country. Our countries are not very rich. We're not classified as first world countries. So we deal with poverty. We deal with social issues. We deal with a lot of problems. But the people need to see that these same tactics are still used against the people to keep them separated from us, from uniting, so that strong people and rich and greedy people stay in power.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brad. Wow.
But it's also a scary film. It's got monsters. It's got creatures.
Okay. This is for Director Bradley. Why did you choose to create a narrative of immigration through the lens of horror?
I feel like, well, not to say that we wanted to specifically do horror, but my first film was a drama. It was a portrait of a man growing old. But had Pepe Smith in it, the late Pepe Smith. So for the second film, Bianca and I, and my producer and I, we were like, we need to go 180 degrees. We need to, go crazy, go as extreme as you can, away from, that first kind of style. So it was with us, because we have the same team, basically, the DOP, Larry Manda, the production designers, Benjamin Panera, Khaled Tabihi. We were all like the same team from the first film. So we decided that we would push ourselves to the absolute limit by doing something totally different and challenge ourselves. And so therefore we came out with the idea of doing something a little bit supernatural, a little bit horror, thriller, with elements of suspense. So the reason I guess it would be we picked the genre first, and then we decided like we needed to make something a bit more meaningful with the genre and push a little bit of ideas behind it as well.
Pero horror talaga pag dumadaan ka ng immigration.
To the director, how was the mythological creature chosen? Is it something that represents something in the movie?
Sorry.
How was the mythological creature described in the movie? Is that a representation of something?
When the writing started, I'll be very honest. When the writing started, we decided we wanted to try doing something with the capre, because we were very fascinated with this creature that's always on trees. But as we started writing, we realized that this really doesn't show classic symptoms of the capre to a certain extent. We wanted to create our own creature, so that's why we decided that this would be a tree demon, and the tree demon. It kind of spawned the idea of the film itself. You know? Like we thought about tree demons, which is very prevalent in Southeast Asian mythology, not just in the Philippines. So there's always a tree somewhere in the forest that you should be afraid of because something lives in the trees. And we thought like, okay, what if these illegal loggers come down and cut down this tree, and the spirit of this tree demon is stuck in the wood? And of course, what do they use this wood for? They make furniture, they make things. And suddenly you have this vengeful bit that eats men and impregnates women. So.
Another follow-up question. On the tree demon, was that transported from the Philippines going to Europe, or that is something that came from the place itself?
Oh yeah, I would say it's definitely something from us going to there.
All right, thank you. And what are the social issues aside from migration that being tackled in the film?
I feel for me, because we look at the film is a journey through JC's basically point of view. So it was very important for us that we wanted to create something where a young man trying to step out from his father's shadows. And in that sense that when the father tells him that you are here to inherit something that's evil, that's used in the name of evil or cruelty or then he needs to make decisions. So I think the film is really about the dangers of apathy, the dangers of not making choices, because not making a choice also has consequences. And as JC goes through this journey of deciding what to do, does he follow in his father's footsteps and kill people? Or does he not do anything where people also die? Or does he try to do the right thing and save them? But these things in reality also have consequences for all three.
Alright, that's something that we should watch. And to JC, after doing this film, do you have dream roles on future films, or any roles you challenging or would like to portray in the future? There will be offers of international films.
Gusto ko yung mga ganito eh. Gusto ko yung mga survival. Siguro kung kaya kong pwede mag-historical or biographical. Gusto kong gumaya ng isang tao, a hero or someone from kilala dito sa Pilipinas. We'll see.
Alright, and that's something that adds up to the challenge. Aside from this, anything you learned na, kasi sa movie pag nakita mo yung trailer, it's something international, mapifeel mo yung vibe. So, what is something we need to adapt in order to ma-level natin yung mga ganitong movies for the parts sa mga Filipino films na nagawa mo?
With the right amount of time and budget, you have a great film, a good director, a good story.
I don't think it's a casting of people or something, because the talent is here. I mean, the cinematographer is Filipino, the production design, everything created in the film is Filipino. So what you see on the screen and how it's conveyed is all local talent. So I don't think it's whether or not we have the talent. Again, like JC said, it's really the time. We need the opportunity to take the time and do things in a more thoughtful way, rather than trying to rush films and rush, because we're only human and we can only work a certain amount of hours a day, and after a certain point something's got to give.
Something to myself. Congratulations to both.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Hi, Bradley.
Hello.
One of the great things about the film, I think, is the production design. Can you tell us a bit about how that was formed, and how do you think we can produce more of these kinds of films? We have an actual universe that we that the setting is actually created by the team?
I mean, all credit goes to the team of the production designers, Benjamin Padero, Kalita Bihe. I mean, we've been working together for a long time, so they kind of get this sense of like what I want to do with the story. But this film, usually when we shoot our projects here, we find a location and we build on the location. But the problem with Motel Acacia is there is no such thing as a motel in a location here, so it all needed to be built from scratch. So the design process of the thing itself started off with a lot of discussions between myself and the production designers, and then the production designers with the DOP and us as well. Because then we soon realized that we needed to light this place and design this place almost like like an actual location itself. Every light needed to be pre-installed into the walls, and inspiration from it started as like, because it was written initially in a very kind of warm setting, so it felt very like this is all wooden kind of places. But as we started more and more discussion, we realized that this actually needs to be the opposite. It needs to be cold. It needs to be, you know, it needs to have like a brutalist kind of feeling. It needs to have this like ex-communist bunker. And then with this discussion, suddenly the collaboration starts influencing the script. So it's very fun because usually it's like you have a script and then people execute. But now this discussions kind of starts changing and changing the script. Same thing with the actors as well. The discussions just keep moving the script forward. So suddenly from a motel that's just there, you have this idea of like we created this underground bunker where horrible things used to happen before, perhaps, in this place, where the rooms and a pool, is it a place for rich people to go in and do horrible things? And then the sense of feeling and design and texture, you realize that this could be like feels like an underground spaceship. So now you got a little bit of a science fiction vibe happening underneath, which is a great contrast to like the harsh elements and the snow upstairs.
And do you think, Bradley, moving forward, Philippine cinema is ready to have more films that have settings like this that we build from the ground up, budget-wise, time-wise? Is it something that we can do more?
Absolutely. I think it all starts from the ground up. I think it starts with a great story, a great script, and then from then on, if it's a budget issue, I think there's many options of doing it. This film is a 5-country co-production, and the reason why it's a 5-country co-production because we needed more money to kind of build this thing, and we needed more time. So I think, but the only way that the international parties and international financiers could be interested is because we had something a bit crazy, something a bit unique, and something they felt that they could respond to. And in terms of Philippine cinema going forward, I think it's totally possible. I think it's all about the producers, I feel. As long as we have producers that know what they're doing and have an aim and a goal and start doing these international collaborations, I think we're on a great step forward.
Thanks, Bradley.
Thank you.
And for JC, ano yung paborito mong part sa pelikula na yung na-interact mo yung production design? Anything that stood out for you?
Ang dami. Nakita niyo ba yung pool? May pool eh. So marami, every setting doon, as in meron kaming interaction with the whole design. Kasi pag naglalakad kami sa loob talaga, makikita mo kung gaano siya kalawak, makikita mo kung gaano siya kasikip, kalamig. So kaya nung nagkaroon na kami ng outdoor scenes, so chinek ko yung acting ko kung tama ba, yung lamig. Tapos pagdating doon, negative 15, 16, 13, 14, 15, 16, ganun. So meron ako, I think my favorite scene was in the pool area. So abangan na ako ano nangyari doon. Yun kasi pinaka, for me, interesting din.
Alright. Thank you, Bradley and JC.
Any more questions?
I think for Direct Brad, how was it working with JC naman?
Great headache.
No, it's great. I mean, JC is the kind of actor, and all of them as well. I mean, JC is the kind of actor that gives you 110%. So for me, feeling, I think the bigger challenge was kind of like trying to direct all the actors when they all had that single scene together, because Filipino actors, we really like to feel the scene. So we feel it, we look at the location, we pace ourselves, and then they go, right? And sometimes on the first take, it's all magic, it's pure magic. And as the takes go on, they lose that feeling. So we need to get ready to get it on the first time. But our Indonesian actor Nicholas, he needs time to get into the feeling, get into the gear. And then our Belgian actor, great Jan Bijvoet, he needs preparation and discussion right before he gets to implement the scene. So I guess the crazy thing was trying to figure out when it was the perfect opportunity to get all these takes simultaneously and to get them all on like kind of the same quality of performance and the same thing. So I felt like, I mean, all of them are great. It's just trying to balance the system.
I told them that you're tuning. You're tuning. So if it's like, maybe make it 7 out of 10 or 5, the acting. Meron lang.
Yeah. I mean, otherwise, it's like, it's just easier, right? Like a number system.
Yeah.
Rather than feel the pain.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Okay. I think one more.
For Direct Bradley, just one question. Why come up with the idea of Asian son and a Western father?
Well, that's really our past, right? Like this colonial people coming down and impregnating our women. And then we're left with the sins of the fathers.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. If you don't have any more questions,
Any more questions?
one more question.
Yung jowa pala, the word jowa. I think, yung Joe ko yan eh, di ba? American. He's my Joe. That's my Joe. Kaya pala jowa. Yeah. Yeah, I'm from Pampanga. There's a strip there. The friendship strip.
So,
Kaya jowa. He's my Joe. The G.I. Joe, di ba?
so parang yung Jowa Bells.
I don't
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Fun fact.
Maraming salamat po for